Oh, yeah, we're going to do that. Oh, I've lost your intro, T-Radar. We'll just say, T-Radar, good morning to you. How you doing?
Good morning to you. I think I can cope with that an intro.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Don't need that.
Just deleted it by accident right there.
What, you deleted it?
Well, kind of, yeah. I'm going to have to conjure it back.
My God, that's it strikes me as a failure in your system. If you can have an intro that you can
quickly delete.
Press the wrong button, it's deleted it. It's the world we live in, though, isn't it? It's as simple as pushing a button and suddenly something's gone. I see there's Gmail at the moment apparently having big problems. People have lost all of their mail and folders and all that kind of thing.
Really?
Yeah, I guess you just sort of trust that these companies won't make a mistake.
I hope not, because right now, and counting, I have 9.9 gigabytes of email in Gmail.
Well, and the crazy thing is, I was about to say to you, you'll want to back that up, but then imagine, it's impossible to imagine the amount of storage that there is out there. Servers all over the world, but, trillions of terabytes of data just stored. And what is it? What have you got up there? You've got photos and correspondence and documents.
It's all stored as ones and zeros.
All stored as ones and zeros. And so easily, so fragile.
Puff, gone.
Gone. It's like, where was it? I think Egypt and various other places, they turned off the internet the other day.
Yeah.
And you always think, where's the button? Is it carried in a case? Did Mubarak carry it around in a case? Doesn't have a nuclear launch code like the Americans, but he opens his case up and there's a big red button that says "Internet on off" like a switch.
And it's got two keys, one for either side of the room.
Yeah.
Where the deputy has to turn it at exactly the same time.
Exactly. Boom, the internet's off. And actually, what they said about that was that it was one of the worst things he could have done, because sure, there was all the Facebook and Twitter and stuff was happening, but people were sort of doing it from their homes. And when the internet got turned off, and particularly the mobile phone network as well, they shut that down. Everyone went, oh, well, we'd better go into the streets.
Yeah.
See what was going on.
That's right. Yeah. Well, talking about that Libya situation now, of course, the earthquake last week has probably put the oil companies into a kind of a different mode, I suppose. Rather than what they would normally be doing now would probably be putting the price of oil up, the price of petrol up.
Yes. Well, I mean, it has gone over, up and above $2 a litre, even for the unleaded stuff. What's it called? The regular.
But that was before the
That was
quake.
before, yeah. So, but I guess the problem, with Libya and that, so Libya isn't a big exporter of oil, but it has quite a high quality oil. And I was thinking about that this week, with Christchurch and all of that, and then over in Libya they've had, potentially thousands of people killed, not by a natural disaster, but by the hand of man. It's just like, just so pointless. And Gaddafi, you seen any of Gaddafi's rants?
Yeah, I saw a one with Charlie Brooker was interpreting.
Ah, yes, one of the great satirists of our time. If people haven't seen any of Charlie Brooker's work, he does. There's a particularly good one up on YouTube. How he sort of puts together how news is put together, and sort of narrates it. Out of focus shot of set of buildings, statistics come up on screen, and you go, that is exactly what they do. And it make you, when you watch news now, you go, yep, that's what they're doing. Yeah, that's that shot. Here's a question from a random member of the public. Here's a random scientist making a statement that could mean anything. Yes, it's very funny.
Very funny man.
But no, sort of, all over the world, that's an oil shock. And they were talking, of oil going up to another, couple of $100 a barrel this year. You're thinking, my goodness.
Yeah.
No, that's the last thing people need.
So apparently on Monday last week, I haven't had the latest figures this week, but on Monday last week, the margin that oil companies in New Zealand make on petrol was 17 cents. I guess that's per litre or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then by Thursday, it was 5 cents. Now, those costs haven't been passed on to the consumer yet.
No, they haven't, no. But what's the margin the government makes? About 49.
Well, it's ever increasing when the price of petrol goes
I
up.
suppose that's right. It's a percentage, isn't it?
Yeah.
So every time they put the price of petrol up, essentially that's another tax on the poor old petrol.
Well, through GST.
Purchaser. Yes.
Yeah. Which don't forget isn't
through fuel excise tax and GST.
Yeah. Well, I think they do a cents per litre, don't they?
I think they do. They may well do. Yes, they claw it out every which way.
But so they do a cents per litre, and then it's the GST on top.
Yes.
So that's where the extra percentage will come from. And of course, it's not 12.5 anymore.
No,
we forget 15.
15. Yes, they're clawing it out, and it'll be interesting to see. They're announcing sort of ways to create earthquake levies and various things like that, and I'm sure people sort of won't be unhappy about paying that, because who's to say couldn't happen in any one of our major cities.
Well, that's right. And, of course, we're all in this big mess because of the US military, right? What kind of weird thing have they been up to this week?
Look, I think it came out through... actually, I think it was a Rolling Stone magazine article. It turns out that when various sort of senators and folk were going over to sort of see the troops in Afghanistan and places like that, the story has it that some of the top brass in the military were using their sort of psyops divisions, these psychological operations teams that they use to do various things, to say to them, look, we need to get into the heads of these guys and convince them that we need more bombs and more men. So, get stuck in and see what you can do. So, of course, the result is now there's a big investigation into that. But you can just imagine it, can't you? You're surrounded by these sort of military personnel, and they're attempting to sort of figure out how to get into you and drop sort of, key words that may be there and plant surreptitious ideas into your head. It's a little bit. Did you ever see Men Who Stare at Goats?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
a little bit like that. And
psyops,
psyops, and people sort of it's that, but they're a fascinating outfit. They use them on all kinds of things. They were quite prevalent, I believe, at Waco and places like that. Where they would do things like broadcast the sound of rabbits being slaughtered, followed by really bad musical songs and white noise and Nancy Sinatra. I think they were playing These Boots Are Made for Walking All Distorted, and to sort of drive people crazy and get them out of locations where they're locked in. So never afraid to sort of get down and use them to forward their claims for more money.
Extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. And also extraordinary, the Norwegians this week.
Look, in some ways, this is, my story of the week. There's always someone out there who's just a little bit sort of oddly kooky. And there's a Norwegian chap by the name of Jarl Andoy. And him and the companion have just been rescued. The companion's 18 and Jarl, I think, is sort of in his 34. There was 3 other guys as well on a yacht. The yacht's now missing down near Antarctica, and what they did was they got a couple of quad bikes that I believe they purchased in New Zealand, strapped them onto the front of their boat, which is called the Berserk. They're sort of following in Viking footsteps, and off they sailed down to Antarctica with the goal of the 2 of them getting on their quad bikes and driving to the South Pole. Now, when word came in that the boat was missing, they, I think, apparently drove 20 hours through the night to Scott Base to get the last flight out of Antarctica for the season. People are saying, what on earth were you doing? There was no permission, there was no anything. Obviously, they're going into, 6 months of sort of darkness and winter down there.
They've been watching too much Top Gear.
Yeah. But he's been in trouble before. Apparently, he was charged by the Norwegians at one stage with provoking a polar bear. So I think that gives you a bit of an insight into the guy. He's big on the whole Viking thing, and they've done these sort of passages around through the various Arctic waterways on their yachts. But it's just, in a week where there's all this other madness, off down there in the South Pole with 2 dudes on quad bikes saying, yeah, mate, we're just going to drive down to the South Pole.
Is that more or less? Is that any more or less mad than Shackleton and the rest?
Well, probably not. I mean, they, they had no radio communication, and they were essentially just wearing big woolen socks and some furs. So probably not. But in this day and age, we look at someone like that and think, oh, you're mad. But in previous ages, they would have been, hailed as great heroes. And I'm sure there are, various folks around the world who are rooting for them and thinking, oh, go for gold. But quad bikes, that is brilliant.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, T-Radar.
We'll speak again next week.
Cheers.
Oh, good.
It's 25 minutes past 8.